Oh, we forgot about Sonic Rivals! Oh, okay, so it's a racing game, so the level design, well, it keeps switching between straightforward run bits, where you just run and jump over simple obstacles, and specific set pieces designed to slow you down. And those set pieces are designed in just such a way that if you're too panicky and wants to rush through it, you fail. Makes sense, kind of annoying, but whatever, it's racing.
Well, in Sonic Rivals 2, that is. When I played Sonic Rivals 1, I didn't really detect any clear level design patterns. It's just running on a relatively flat surface. Right, so to the main event of today, Sonic Colors. Almost everyone loves it. I dislike it quite a bit. But hey, we're adults here, right? We can talk reasonably about things. I try this series to be as neutral as possible. So let's start positive. Let's go through all the things that Sonic Colors did well, the things I like, or at least respect, kinda. Okay, so right off the bat, yeah, the music is great! And there's a lot of reference to the old Sonic games, which is cute, I guess, so that's neat. Okay, so the most important thing Sonic Colors does right, and the main good argument I hear from people who like Colors bring up, is that it fixed Unleashed quite a bit by being more playable again. Yeah, Sonic Unleashed was criticized by a lot for losing the balance between mindless speed and platforming, and it was a bit too automatic. Sonic Colors brings back some more intense platforming. Yeah, sure, it does. It's neat. The graphics are praised a lot. I don't really care about technical graphics myself, but sure, it looks neat. What I really like about Sonic Colors is how it has a lot of levels in smaller bits. I prefer having a lot of small levels over huge levels, mostly because I have a job and girlfriend and social obligations and have to animate stuff, so I don't really like being stuck in one level for half an hour. When I play video games, I usually only have a little bit of time. I also like the idea of the virtual reality world, a very clever way of the developers to give us a large number of extra levels with little effort on their part. Out of all the ways a video game can cheat around to increase the amount of content and time we can spend on the game, having little simple bonus levels is my favorite. So, well done, Colors! Okay, ignoring the storylines because we have been talking about that in previous chapters, and I will talk about more of it next time. Another compliment I want to give the game is that I like some of the wisps. Especially using the drill on the water is freaking cool. Not as cool as a Tail submarine, but close. And as a final statement, I want to say I can enjoy the first two worlds of Colors, Tropical Resort and Sweet Mountain. Most of the complaints I'll have later on are mostly about the worlds after this. Tropical Resort and Sweet Mountain are fast and fun, have some neat set pieces, and while it has some balancing issues, they're not as problematic as the later worlds will have. But we'll get to that later. First, 2D Sonic and 3D Sonic.
Okay, we barely went into this, but might as well do it now. From Sonic Unleashed on, they had this thing going on where the gameplay is 3D, but keeps jumping back to 2D. Not sure why they did this. Well, okay, I guess people were missing the old 2D gameplay. There hasn't been a 2D Sonic game in ages when Unleashed came out. I mean, it must have been, what, one entire year since Sonic Rush Adventure? So I guess fans were getting restless. Okay, so in Unleashed, it's a cute little experiment, I guess.
Yeah, they kept doing it up to generations and probably further. With 3DS generations being entirely in 2D, Classic Sonic being entirely in 2D, and Modern Sonic being 1/3 of the round in 3D, generations seem to be a little racist against poor little 3D. Some fans may find that bothersome.
Actually, I found that really insulting. Sonic Generation is supposed to be a celebration of old and new Sonic. Instead, it's clearly implying all Sonic 3D games are wrong or very inferior to the 2D games, or at least they're hybrids. The Sonic Color stage has tons of 2D segments because that represents the games correctly, but why they did that to Sonic Adventure and 06 as well? That's not representing those games. Sonic Adventure 2 is about pure excitement and pacing, not about this. To give them a new twist, well, you don't see them giving Colors a new twist by not having 2D. It's disgraceful, it's betrayment, it's horribly...
Well, to be fair, again, the Modern Colors level had a 3D segment that wasn't pointless and over in 2 seconds, so they did crazy things to Colors as well. But yeah, slight balancing issues, sure, yeah.
Here's the thing about 2D and 3D. They're completely different ways on how you experience a game. 2D Sonic is more of a straightforward game, as the camera perspective is completely removed from the action, so you're a distant observer. It's a pure game. You're controlling a little guy through an obstacle course. However, 3D is more of an immersive experience. You feel more like it's you running through the streets and jumping around. So your brain functions on a different level. enjoying other things reacts differently. So the constant switching around is jarring.
I love 2D Sonic. Sonic 3 Knuckles, Sonic CD, awesome. I love 3D Sonic. Sonic Adventures, Sonic Heroes, pretty cool. I hate the combination of a 2D and 3D Sonic game. 2D and 3D Sonic is not interchangeable. As Luke explained, you process them differently. 2D and 3D Sonic, to me, is like comparing Contra with Call of Duty. In both, you may be a soldier dude shooting bad guys and avoiding to get killed, but one is a pure game dodging obstacles, and the other is an experience. You're a soldier in the battlefield, stuff happens around you, you know? 3D Sonic is more an experience for me, running through cities. Maybe you people disagree, I can see that, especially in the more gamey 3D Sonic games like Heroes and such, but especially in Unleashed and Colors. Look, there's an enormous section where nothing gameplay-ish is happening. You stare at Sonic running through places. My brain literally gets no other signals than, oh wow, it's really like I'm really flying through Europe town. You're immersed into the universe, so the game suddenly switching to something else is just, God! Sonic Unleashed kind of gets away with it, since at the very least the level design philosophy of the 2D sections are the same as in the 3D sections. In both you're mostly passively running around until the game randomly kills you with an instant death danger. However, from Sonic Colors on, the level design of the 2D sections changed drastically. They're more platformy, so your brain really needs to function in a different way. I may seem to be a hypocrite. I love the interruptions and gameplay changes in Sonic Adventure. I hate them in Colors. Why? Well, there's 3 reasons. 1, Sonic Adventure has transition moments. As I explained before you suddenly start snowboarding or exploring, there's always a weird moment without music and anything going on, so you get a warning. It's like when you're reading a book and someone wants to talk to you. If they give you a warning, you can finish your last sentence and slowly break your concentration and start having a nice conversation. But if the person just starts immediately talking to you while you're still reading, the conversation and whatever you're reading will crash into each other in your brain. You get a violent jolt. I'm reading, man, can't you see? What the fuck do you want? You know, that's what transitions are for. To cool down your brain, to prepare yourself for a change. And Unleashed and Colors and such don't have those. Well, to be fair, Colors does sometimes do this weird loop thing, so I guess that's your warning, but it's not much. Second reason, in Sonic Adventure, while the gameplay may slightly change, the general level design and your objective don't. When platforming in that game, you're running through mostly flat or roller coastery sections as quickly as possible, while you're on the snowboard or driving a bumper cart, you're going through flat and roller coastery sections as quickly as possible. So despite the gameplay change, you don't have to adjust your thinking too much. In Colors, the 3D sections are extremely fast-paced racing sessions, while the platforming sections are this. So your brain has to make a 180 degrees change in thinking, which again gives you a violent jolt. The only time Sonic Adventure completely switches around the level design philosophy is in the casino level, where you need to find treasure instead of run towards a goal. But at least the change happens right when the level starts and not halfway through. And third and final reason, and this may be just me and a lot of people may disagree with me, but still, in Sonic Adventure the gameplay changes are, how to explain, logical. Like, I'm in a theme park, so I'm riding a bumper cart, as you would in a theme park. I'm on a snow mountain, now I'm snowboarding. It fits with the theme, it's a logical thing to do. While the gameplay changes in especially Colors are much more abstract, more fourth wall breaking. It's not like Sonic will suddenly participate in a different activity like driving, more that the entire situation gets thrown on his head. From being Sonic in an actual theme park, now I'm a distant observer controlling Sonic from a distance in a 2D abstract interpretation of a theme park. It's just one step away from suddenly turning into something like Lemmings, where you're not even controlling Sonic anymore, but now need to manipulate the environment to get Sonic to the exit. My role as a player and Sonic's role as a hero is suddenly different. It removes me even more from the action when such an extreme change suddenly happens. I need to re-evaluate entirely how to process the game. God. That they do weird things like that for each individual stage would be acceptable, but in the middle of the level? What? Just
But hey, nitpicking, you get used to that. Now about Sonic Colors. Why are there 3D parts in it at all, really? There's so little of it, it seems redundant. So we mostly enjoy the first 2 worlds. They play like proper Sonic games. Some optional weird wisp puzzle stuff, but mostly there's loops, grinding, speed, some set pieces with the missiles. Fun.
Okay, but then I just... Okay, so question. How does a 2D Sonic game look like? Like this, right? Slopes, loops, big lumps of land. Yeah, may I introduce you to Sonic Colors level design? This, and this, and this. Does this look like a Sonic game to anyone? What the hell is this? Blocks? Claustrophobic blocks? What? This reminds me more of those damn vertical Mega Man levels. Again, the first worlds looked pretty Sonic-y, but after World 2, it's, yeah. So am I saying a new Sonic game isn't allowed to do new stuff? Yeah, no, not exactly. Sure, they can do new things, as long as they know what they're doing, and at least be a bit faithful to the general appeal to what makes the franchise what it is. Okay, people who like Colors explain this as this is supposed to be a callback to Sonic 1 and Sonic CD, the most platformy of the classics. And sure, I can see that. They had a lot of platforms. There's two problems I have with that excuse though. That is, one, again, Sonic in the old games was slow. The games were slow, Sonic was slow. So the slightly slow fast bits and the slower slow bits blend together. Sonic Colors has an enormous contrast. It has the speed of Unleashed, the fastest Sonic game ever, and the platform segments are even slower than they were in Sonic 1. So this keeps the game switching from being the fastest Sonic game ever and the slowest Sonic game ever constantly during the same level. And second, no matter how slow and gimmicky Sonic 1 and Sonic CD could become, they always still had breathing room for speed. Sonic CD was a Sonic game first and had tons of gimmicks second. Yeah, Ricky Workbench had his bouncy floor thing going on, but it's only here, it doesn't pop up in every damn level. And in Sonic 1, even the slow platformy level had lots of speed parts. Oh, and guess what? Those speedy slopes have a point in the game. They're part of the level design. You need them to progress. In Sonic Colors, the fast bits are so pointless. Just Act 1 of Starlight Carnival, where we get introduced to my favorite part of the gameplay, staring at things. Sonic runs. I can't do anything. Look, I get it. All Sonic games always had automatic bits. But first they were at least semi-automatic. Even in Sonic Rush you could cancel out automatic bits if you want. You usually had some control over what's going on. Not here, you're literally staring at a cutscene in the middle of a level. After a while they don't even bother trying to keep the illusion it's me playing Sonic, by making Sonic go off screen so I can look at the pretty spaceship. So after just staring at nothing for half a minute, I finally regain control when I'm launched off screen. What? Listen, I don't mind wacky hijinks. I like quirky things happening in Sonic as much as the next guy, but this ain't no Sonic being chased by a crazy truck. I'm literally just staring at nothing. Just, what? Why? Anyway, so yeah, this is the gameplay. Blocks and wisps that do things with the blocks. Again, it's a balancing thing. I don't mind gimmicks, but I swear, this is at least 70% of the game. Okay, here's the thing about the blocks. Disregarding my own dislike of levels that look like this, there's an additional problem. Sonic. As I mentioned with Sonic Rush before, it keeps baffling me how the faster Sonic becomes, the more platformy the levels become. Sonic is not designed to navigate structures like this. For levels like this you need a Mario or a Mega Man X, someone who can hang onto ledges, slide along walls. All Sonic has is the wall jump, which I found extremely awkward to control. But yeah, Sonic is fast, his jumping is imprecise, it's just like racing on a go-kart track on a rocket speed track racer. It doesn't belong there. So you can complain that Sonic Adventure is sometimes awkward because Sonic walks through Knuckles' portion of the game. Well, Sonic Colors is like that, but practically all the time, and doesn't even have another character who does belong in these claustrophobic block level structures. The only world that has loose and was an extremely welcome break from this claustrophobic maze stuff was the underwater world. And if the underwater levels of your game are the most speedy and open levels in a long time, there's something wrong. As for 3D, despite the fact there's extremely little 3D in this game, you find it in 5 different flavors. You gotta stare at things 3D, where you just get an unplayable cutscene. Then you get the minigame 3D, where Sonic runs automatically and all you can do is hop left and right. Then you get the grinding minigame, which is exactly the same automatic forward while hopping left and right things, except on rails. Then there's the why is this even in 3D segments, like this, which is 3D but the level design is still made so it's essentially a 2D segment. And finally there's the very occasional part where you get a genuine no-nonsense part, where we can actually walk in every direction. Here's an example! Look at how amazing it is to finally and it's over. And we go back to the 2D segments. Why was that part even there? What? After a few hours of block puzzles, here we get a 3D segment and it's over. What? Why? Seriously, after World 2, the game has just enough 3D segments just to remind me that there's no 3D segments. Hey kids, see this fun 3D part while it's over, fuck you. I mean, Sonic Colors has about 60 levels. Only 3 stages are entirely in 3D, and in all 3 cases, it's the minigame variety. There's about 5 stages that are almost 50% 3D, and that's even including an aquatic park stage. Ooh. But for the rest of the game, it's this. Even Luke gets more chance to talk on this episode of Dissected than 3D appears in Colors. I'm not saying the game should have had more 3D, quite the opposite. This game is clearly designed as a 2D puzzle game. With exception of 2 wisps, none of the wisps even work in 3D, so yeah. The only thing that 3D and speed sections do is trick me into thinking this is a different game than it is. Sonic Colors, to me, is to Sonic what Mario vs. Donkey Kong is to Mario. It's a spin-off puzzle game. And that's fine. Just as long as they admit it is one. But look at the box, look at the trailers, look at the first 2 worlds. It's trying so hard to convince me this is a proper Sonic game. It's if you play Sonic Spinball and that game tries to sell itself as an actual Sonic 4 or something. See, unlike most Sonic fans, I'd never hate Sonic games like Sonic Labyrinth or Sonic Spinball. They are what they are. You look at it and you see it and you either enjoy it or not. It comes to preferences, expectations, whatever. Saying you don't like Tail Sky Patrol is like saying you don't like strawberry ice cream. Okay, sure, that's possible, whatever. The reason I have strong feelings about Colors is that it's tricking me into thinking it's a different kind of game. If there's one Sonic game I can compare Colors with, it'd be Sonic 3D Blast, which is mostly a weird exploration search for all the items game. And after each puzzle segment there's this really awkward and sad bit where you're forced to stare at Sonic going through loops. As if the game is desperately trying to convince me that yes, this is a real Sonic game, look, it had a loop and everything. Ah, cute. That's what Sonic Colors feels like to me. It's a puzzle game with occasionally barely playable, extremely pointless and awkward short bits of Sonicness just to desperately convince me that it's supposed to be an actual Sonic game. But enough about that. Maybe I'm exaggerating, I don't know. Let's talk about something else. Another problem I have with Colors. Exploring. In part 2 of part 5 of episode 11 of